I'm pleased to welcome to the podium Mr. Selcuk Bilgin. He is the CEO and founder of Doruksistem AS, and as such he represents leading Turkish and international companies in their compliance management of various Turkish regulations such as Turkey REACH, Turkey CMP, Turkey BPR, and many more. Mr. Bilgin holds degrees in advanced ecotoxicology and advanced toxicology.
Hello everybody. I want to thank to CHEMCON community for inviting me again to CHEMCON conferences. My topic is Turkey chemical control legislations, including KKDIK, KOK, and SEA. And you know that the KKDIK is identical with the European REACH, and this year is the deadline. At the end of this year is the deadline for the KKDIK registration, so it's important for the chemical universe. So I want to start to my presentation a little about mention about why we are doing these chemical control regulations, because the history in between the European Union and Turkey is important. You will understand better way why KKDIK is unique like EU REACH. Following the application of TR for an association agreement with the European Economic Community in July 1959, Turkey and EEC was signed association agreement, which is known as Ankara Agreement, on September 12, 1963. After that, it's following December 1995 and October 2005 and 2013, all negotiations completed, and we started to follow the EU chemical regulations. Any chemical product or article manufactured in Turkey or in the EU benefits from free circulation. Therefore, an approximation of the chemical regulatory framework applicable to the chemical industry in Turkey was a necessity. After the technical assistance for implementation of REACH regulation project, which is supported as a European aid project by Central Finance and Contracts units with the beneficial Turkish Ministry of Environment and Urbanization, commenced on December 2011 and lasted for 24 months. So, the Turkey REACH, named KKDIK, was necessarily published 2.5 years ago on June 23rd, 2017, and entered into force 6 months later on December 23rd of 2017. Widely referred to as Turk REACH, KKDIK will further Turkey's vision of enacting EU REACH-like legislation. Now, we are in the pre-registration period, and registration will start approximately 8 months. We will start 1.5 years later in the beginning of 2021, and will continue for all tonnage bands of substances imported into Turkey greater than 1 ton till to the end of 2023. KKDIK consists of 12 titles, 67 articles, and 18 annexes, for a total of 405 pages. There are lots of questions about an English translation of the correct version, but that would not make a lot of sense. About 95% of KKDIK is identical to EU REACH. In other words, the entire regulation was translated almost 1-to-1 into Turkish. But KKDIK does not include articles 10 to 13 of REACH, because those articles related to ECA and the classification and labeling of substances. Those considerations are irrelevant for Turkey, where the ECA plays no role, and the Turkish CLP regulation, which is known as SEA regulation, has played an analogous role since December 11, 2013. Let's look at the basics of the KKDIK. We can say that it is 95% or more, same as EU REACH. So the aim is the same. And the scope is also same as EU REACH. This bylaw covers manufacturing, placing on the market or use of the substances on their own, in a mixture or in an article, and placing the mixtures on the market greater than 1 ton annually. The out-of-scope exempted cases, KKDIK shall not apply to the substances and mixtures below, the radioactive substances and mixtures, and substances on their own in a mixture or in an article, which are subject to customs supervision, provided that they do not undergo any treatment or processing, and which are in temporary storage or in a free zone or free warehouse with a view to re-exportation and transit. Non-isolated intermediates, the carriage of hazardous substances and hazardous mixtures by railroad, inland water, sea or air, and wastes, and substances and mixtures which are manufactured or imported for the purpose of defense. The provisions for registration, downstream users, evaluation, and authorization shall not apply to the substances manufactured or imported in order to use in the medicinal products for human or veterinary use, and foods and feeding stuffs within the scope of the bylaw on Turkish Food Codex. The provisions of information in the supply chain shall not apply to the extent the mixtures in the finished state intended for the final user, medicinal products for human or veterinary use. Cosmetic products within the scope of bylaw on cosmetics, invasive medical devices or medical devices which can be used in direct physical contact with the human body. Foods and feeding stuffs within the scope of the bylaw on placing on the market and use of feeding stuffs. And substances included in Annex 4 and 5, substances on their own or in mixtures, registered in accordance with second part, exported from Turkey by an actor in the supply chain and imported into Turkey by the same or another actor in the same supply chain, who proves that the substance being re-imported is the same as the exported substance. He has been provided with the information in accordance with Articles 27 or 28 relating to the exported substances. And substances on their own or in mixture or in articles which have been registered in accordance with the second part and which are recovered in Turkey, if the substance that results from the recovery process is the same as the substance that has been registered in accordance with the second part, and the information required by Articles 27 or 28 relating to the substances that has been registered in accordance with the second part is available to the establishment undertaking the recovery. And the polymers are exempted. The provisions of the second registration and sixth part of regulation shall not apply to the polymers. And BPR and PPP regulations are different regulations in Turkey, so biocide products and plant protection products are exempted as well. And PPORDs, product and process-oriented research and development products, can be exempted from the duty to register for a period of 5 years. And to be exempted, a company needs to submit a PPORD notification to the ministry, and PPORD can be exempted from authorization, and you must check the Annex 14 for the conditions. This table is a timetable for the KKDIK, and we are at the point of pre-registration deadline now. At the end of this year, the pre-registration should be completed, and the registration, the final registration deadline is at the end of the 2023. Okay, roles defined by KKDIK is the same as European REACH, so the manufacturer, downstream users, and distributor definitions are completely the same. who can register manufacturer, importer, and only representatives for non-Turkey manufacturers can register the substances. I added the registration differs from EU REACH to the slides for your consideration. Tonnage does not affect deadlines. Inventory status of substances does not affect deadlines. Only certified chemical assessment specialists, which is known as CAS, can file registration and notification in Turkey or write author STSs. Dossier submission to ministry can be done over KKDIK system, which is known as Chemical Registration System. And it is a system similar to UK5, which is not a REACH IT system. Registration language is Turkish. And SIFs are completely identical, same as EU REACH. Each SIF shall be operational until the end of 2025. Pre-SIF registration started and CNM notifications are continuing. Consortiums did not start to establish yet. But I know that some local industrial organizations started to discussion between themselves. So no SIFs and no consortiums are established yet. Probably they will start to establish or form after the second part of this year. Okay. Joint registration is the same. Different companies who want to register the same substance can create a joint registration file inside the SIF and submit registration dossiers jointly. Like EU REACH, obligations under KKDIK can be fulfilled by an only representative. This allows non-TR manufacturers to have input on the registration by working with an only OR and to provide information that they may not wish to provide to an importer. This may also mean that Turkish importers expect global companies to take compliance responsibility for their substances, despite the limited actions non-Turkish entities can take. The Turkish importers within the same supply chain covered by an OR are relieved from their registration obligations, as they will be regarded as downstream users. Only representative in KKDIK, only representatives have to be these specifications and features. Please review these slides. I want to pass it quickly because there is no time. And I prepared these slides for informative purposes as well. But the main important thing is what should be the ideal OR in Turkey. The written OR agreement is important, and company size verification, certified translation into Turkish language, and completion of the pre-SIF and pre-SIF registrations and registrations, and responding to the third-party requests, and preparing the compliance safety data sheets, synchronizing with his client, with the clients and importers and volumes, determining properly the importers in terms of trade reach, tracking the volumes, and also monitoring the trade reach and Turkish CLP developments, complying with the continuous post-registration obligations like exposure scenario and ESDS's update, as they require chemical legal data handling IT organization and other skills to fulfill its duties and put customer and compliance management systems in place. What should be the right OR in Turkey? OR should have minimum 5 years experiences in Turkish chemical regulations published after 2008. Sufficient knowledge and logistic, regulatory compliance and control, easy to cross-bridge the questions between EU REACH and KKDIK, Having valid certificates is important. Well-experienced technical staff having capability to use UCLID 5, 6, and KKDIK and KSAR. International reference is important. Trusted in CBI concerns. Well-prepared OR agreements. Well-experienced certified experts in STS compliance and management. Good communication with industry, associations, authorities, international network, global organizations, etc. The other important point is it is very critical to change OR in Turkey because the system is not HIT. The system is completely similar to UCLID 5. If you decide to change the OR, then you should do all pre-registrations again with the new OR. So the KKA system does not allow to transfer the new OR to be the only representative like in the EU REACH IT system. OR exchange will only be possible if the pre-registrations are made again through the new OR, and the old OR should delete the records from their system. So, OR selection will not only ensure the fulfillment of the pre-registration responsibility, but will also ensure the successful completion of the whole KKDIK project, which will last until the end of 2023. Making the pre-registrations cheaper, true, and insufficient OR can make the entire KKDIK registration process very expensive. These are the examples of the certificates. The critical point is checking the validity of the certificates. You can find the date of certification and date of expiration on each certificate. And if you have these certificates from Turkish Standard Institute, you can use the QR code for checking the validity quickly. These are important. Two types of certificates are valid now. One of them chemical assessment specialist, the other one material safety data sheet preparing authoring person. STS author certification will be stopped after the KKDIK deadline 31st of December 2023. And just chemical assessment specialist certification will be valid for STS authoring and dossier preparation training. The validity of the STS author certification is 3 years, and the CAS certification is 5 years. Okay, pre-registration. In practice, there are no pre-registration in KKDIK articles, actually. There is just pre-CF registrations, plus CNL notifications. We accept that pre-registration means in KKDIK completion the pre-CF and CNL notifications together. It is connected each other in the KKDIK system. This is important. Okay, what data we need for the pre-registration? General registrants information, identification of the substance, information of the manufacturer as usual, use and exposure, CLP, data, and this description of the physical and chemical properties. Yeah, it's not possible to transfer the EU REACH IT data to KKDIK IT system. The questions, the general questions on KKDIK, that is it possible to transfer in bulk the REACH IT data to KKDIK system? The answer is no. But this not mean it doesn't mean that we cannot do anything with your data. Yes, we can do. If you send us in bulk the UCLID 5 data or UCLID 6 UCLID data, our experts, specialists can use this from the UCLID system, and we can complete your registration manually by translating into Turkish from UCLID 5 or UCLID 6 to chemical registration system of Turkey. System only accepts data in Turkish. Even summaries of the lab reports should also be in Turkish and reviewed by a chemical assessment specialist. Let's summarize the critical points. Inventory stocks does not affect the deadlines. Tonnage does not affect the deadlines. Only CAS, certified CAS, specialist can file. There is no separation of deadlines depending on the long tonnage bands. 3 years pre-registrations period, which will be ended to the end of this year. And all the registrations for substances have to be submitted in 3 years between 2021 and 2023. Non-TR companies exporting chemicals can appoint an OR and submit the registrations to this OR. NOMS, notification on new substances, were deemed as registered under REACH, but they need to be registered under the scope of KKDIK. A certified chemical specialist needs to compile the dossier and to prepare the chemical safety assessment report together with STSs. Okay, let's look at the TR-CLP regulation shortly. The Turkish CLP is another important bylaw. It is published on December 11, 2013, and the old regulation, Dangerous Substance Directive and the Dangerous Products Directive, which is known as Preparations Directive, which is known as SAD, is replaced by SEA by compiling GHS. Turkey implemented the GHS to its chemical control system in this bylaw. These are the classification of substances and mixtures, hazard classes, signal words, and you can find all detailed information in the annexes, but it's completely similar to EU CLP regulation. Who has obligations? If your company produces in Turkey or exports chemicals to Turkey, then you must comply with SEA. Hazardous substance alone or in the mixture regardless of the tonnage. For mixtures, hazardous substance triggering the hazard classification must be checked. Substance placed on the Turkish market before 1 June 2015 were notified between the June 2014 and 15. The deadlines are missed, but late notification is still possible. Okay, these are the labeling and packaging examples. One important thing is the draft amendment to the Turkish CE regulation is published on October 2018 and it remains open for consultation to the stakeholders. It is still in draft form, it's not published. Some SEA annexes which were already available and enforced in KKDIK were removed, and recent regulatory changes have also been reflected in SEA. Article 45 of EU CLP regulation was not included in TR SEA regulation regarding the poison centers notification. Turkey implements the poison center notification with an amendment to TRC SEA. These deadlines are not valid, but it will be updated after the draft amendment is published. Okay. Let's look shortly to Turkish POPs, K or kill regulation. Within no persistent organic pollutants or chemical substances that persist in the environment by accumulating through the food web and pose a risk of causing adverse effects to human health and the environment. This group of priority pollutants consists of pesticides, industrial chemicals, and unintentional byproducts of industrial processes. Turkey signed the Stockholm Convention on May 23, 2001 and ratified it on 14 October 2009 and became a party since 12 January 2010. Turkish POP regulation was published on November 2018, and it contains 7 annexes on the restrictions and management of POPs, prohibited substances restricted on its own in mixtures or articles, list of substances subject to emission reduction, List of substances subject to waste management notification forms. You can find these annexes together with the regulation. It's also available in English. Okay. This is the review of the POPs. You can check it later because I have no time. These are, you can find some relevant chemicals. This is on Annex 2 of Turkish regulation POPs are listed here. These are for informative purposes. And you can find the view of the regulation documents together with annexes for your information. As a summary, Turkey continues to keep itself up to date with its technical advancements in chemical regulatory policies in the EU. The following chemical regulations have been issued or revised recently to align Turkey's chemical management policies with that of European Union. KKDIK, which is known as EU REACH, SEA, TRCLP, GBF, SDS regulation, and KKDIK Article 14, and KOK, POPs regulation, and the draft PIC regulation is in progress. Thank you for your attention. Please do not hesitate to contact for further info you need and question you have. I have my emails. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bilgin. All right, so looking at the agenda, we have about 30 minutes for questions. As you're all familiar with from prior sessions, please use the microphones along the aisle to ask your questions and make sure to introduce yourself.